So if you're wondering what a TN looks like hooked to a BR series baler, well, here you go. Little tractor, big baler. And this tractor, it will handle this baler. I haven't actually pulled this baler with this tractor, but I've pulled a 650 round baler with this tractor, and it handled it quite well. A 650 is an older version of this baler, but it'll do a 6 foot tall by 4 foot wide, so a 4x6 bale. This baler does a 4x5 bale, so that baler was actually a little bigger than this baler, but I only baled 4x5 bales with it. I had it set back. But yeah, it would handle it just fine. Got in really steep ground, it needed more power, but with the 4-wheel drive, it didn't have any trouble handling the weight, really. The only reason I never use this tractor with this baler is because it takes the computer monitor to run the net wrap system, and I don't have the wiring and the harnesses and the mounting brackets in this tractor to run this baler, so I've never pulled it with this tractor. All right, so here's what I got. See, I got all kinds of crap in here, crap all over, you know, hay, paint stuff in here. Just I like to open the doors up. Hold on just a second. I like to open both doors up. I like to swing these right here out. I like to do that on both sides before I get started. Open both sides up. All right, now what I got is an Ingersoll Rand screw type compressor. Most people see these running jackhammers. This is a 185. It's got a John Deere engine in it, and what I've got is a hose connected to it. This is a pretty good size hose. It's at least 1 inch. I'm not exactly sure what size it is. And I've built this wand right here. It's got a towel on it because this thing gets extremely hot while you're holding it. But I got a valve so I can control my air, and I've got a wand. I've mashed the end of it down. This thing will blow all that crap off, and it almost works as good as a pressure washer as far as cleaning everything up. It don't get all the dust, like the fine dust that's stuck to the outside of the machine, off, but everything, all this big bulky stuff, it'll blow all that out. You can stick it up in holes like in here where it gets packed in here. It'll blow all that stuff out like it ain't nothing. So a leaf blower works for this, but it won't do pinpoint stuff. Like if it's really packed in there and stuck on from moisture, a leaf blower just won't take it off. I know because I've used a leaf blower to do this. But this thing, it don't really matter if it's stuck on there. It's like a pressure washer. If you stick it right up against it, it's gonna take it off. So, and it's got enough volume of air, so like a regular compressor would do that in small quantities. But a regular compressor doesn't have enough volume to blow this bulk off. So that's where this compressor is nice. It really does a good job. So let's see what we can do here. We'll get this thing started up and let it be warming up. You gotta be kidding me. This thing this thing has started every time I've used it this year, including about a week ago, and now it's not going to start. Seriously? All right, let's get something and jump it off. Okay, I don't think it needs to be jumped off. I wiggled the battery cable. Looks like it's corroded some, and it's trying to start. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna try it again. You gotta hold that safety bypass in when you crank it. It has a safety system. If it doesn't have oil pressure, it'll cut itself off. So you gotta hold that button in to bypass it because it doesn't have oil pressure while you're cranking it. Now, one thing you do have to have safety glasses and definitely hearing protection. Now, let's get started on this thing. Okay, so I've done about half of this machine, and you can see where it was packed in here before. Took all that off. All that was laying up in there, and them rollers and on top of the belt, it's gone. I'm getting ready to work on the front right here. It always gets piled up on the front. You go watch this here. Right here is an example of a wet spot here. I done blow this one off basically, but a leaf blower, sometimes this whole deck has been wet with hay laying on it, and you'll have spots and the whole thing will be covered and it'll be stuck to it like this. And it's been kept pretty, the baler's been kept dry, so there's not much stuck to it from moisture right at this moment. But I've seen at times it's just stuck to this, and a leaf blower won't blow it off. Now this is the difference. Watch this machine work on it. There, no problem blowing all that junk off of here. Now I'm going to get up on top and blow everything off the top of it. Then I'm going to do the other side, And then I'm going to get the square baler. I'm going to do the same thing to it. Now I typically do this after every time I use these machines baling, but it just didn't happen this time. I was busy, in a hurry, it just didn't get done. And but I always do it before I put them away, because hay and moisture laying on these things cause them to rust faster than anything. I'm sure y'all already know that. All right, I'm gonna keep working at this. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. All right, I've got it cleaned off, all the little nooks and crannies. Looking good. Blew out the twine boxes that I don't use and all that good stuff. Blew around in here where the net is. I didn't open the net door. I need to open the net door, I guess, and blow in the front. Yep, I need to blow the top of the frame off right here, and that's about all I lack on this baler. Took me about 10 minutes, and ready to get some grease and oil and go back in the building for the winter. All right, we'll get the square baler over here next. Okay, so I'm getting ready to blow the square baler off, and you can see the knotters get all built up with chaff. This channel gets full of chaff. This down in here gets full of chaff. There's lots of places on a square baler, well, on a round baler too, that hold a lot of chaff. And then when that stuff gets wet, then you have rust. Now if you notice, there's a little piece of a bale still in this baler. I'm not concerned about that because the last hay that I baled was really good and dry. I always get the ones that don't have strings still attached to the baler out. But if the hay that I bale is good and dry, I'll leave it in there till the next time I bale. If the moisture is kind of high in the hay, I'll go ahead and cut the strings and get that piece out. Because the metal will draw the moisture out of the bale to the sides, and then the metal will get wet. The hay will keep the moisture against the metal, and it'll cause rust in the bale chamber. But I'm going to pull that out of there because at the end of the season I do not ever leave hay in it over the winter, because it will draw moisture into it and cause rust. So I'm going to open up all the side shields on this baler. You can see what kind of mess there is in here. It's always a mess after baling. It don't matter if you bale 5 bales or 5,000. It's always a mess in here. So, and the same in here. And I'll just go ahead and open all the shields up so I can just blow all this crap out. See all that? This stuff laying in here will cause rust, so I don't want rust. One thing that helps when it's in this condition is do not ever let it set outside and get rained on when it has this much chaff on it, or it will cause rust. So if you have it in a shed and this stuff was dry when it got on here, see, it's dry as a popcorn fart, it won't cause it to rust or stick to the baler too bad. But if you leave it on here, let it get wet, it'll rust, and I do not want my new baler rusting. So I'm going to get that piece of a bale out. I'm going to blow all this chaff off of this baler. I'm going to grease it. I'm going to put it back in the shed. See this hay right here? It was second cutting, dry, absolutely beautiful hay. It's been in the baler for about 2 weeks, and I'll show you. Absolutely no rust in this baler. still has most of the paint on it actually. But if you leave more high moisture hay in this baler for 2 weeks, you're gonna have a rust problem. So that's something I try to avoid doing. I like to keep that old baler right there. It's had multiple times before I got it, had hay left in it and it got wet, and the sides of the bale chambers are pitted, and that's what I'm trying to avoid on this baler right here. All right, there you go. Clean knotters, clean channel, hitch valley is clean, chamber is clean, all this area is good and clean. This is a whole lot of difference right here. Of course, you could do this with a leaf blower, but you know, that's just my preference, is to use that air compressor. I like how it works better than the leaf blower. So that's what I do, and this is how I'm going to maintain this machine for years to come and keep it in tip-top condition, keep the rust away, keep it inside, keep it dry, keep it lubricated. And then someday, if I want to trade it in or sell it, then it'll still be in tip-top condition, and it'll function just as well as it did the day it was new and look almost as good as it did the day it was new. So that is my plan. That's the way I like to keep all my equipment if possible, and that way I get all the value I can out of it, and the next person that owns it will too. So all right, well, that's going to be it for this video. I'm just going to go put it up, get it all back in the shed, and grease this thing up before I do that, of course. And we'll see y'all in the next one.